Hey everybody, it's Barry Clavin. I'm making this video here this evening as kind of going off on a new thread as it relates to career success and job search sanity and all of those things. I spent the last almost month making a video each day using LinkedIn's 26 most asked interview questions and trying to help people not be cookie cutter when they walk into interviews. I mean, I have this concept where almost always interviewing, the things that LinkedIn used was their artificial intelligence to tell us all what they thought the 26 most asked questions were. And I use those questions to try to answer them the way I would always counsel and have counseled for decades, honestly, people to answer them and to have a platform, right? A platform that reflects your realities, your integrity, your ethos, and really what you want to happen. I believe the best interviews are conversations, not interrogations. And I won't go on a real long thread about that here because tonight I want to start a new thread which has to do with moving forward in your life. And the Fifth Quarter Project, which is nonprofit I founded, but also I think many of us, myself included, are in fifth quarters and can always kind of reboot and restart and do things again. But yeah, the interview part of it is, it's a part of a much bigger picture, of course, as it relates to your job search. But I think it's the rubber meets the road, and that's why I spend so much time doing it. Anyway, there'll be a link to that thread, and all 26 videos, a YouTube channel for it. But anyway, so tonight, so I founded this program I call the Fifth Quarter Project. And the Fifth Quarter Project was my attempt at taking what I know and have learned, again, particularly as it relates to career success and job search sanity. And that has many nuances to it. It really exceeds writing a resume. Certainly that's included, but it really is so much more. And I'll get into that here in a second. But and I was trying to help young people who were coming out of careers, competitive careers as student athletes, and really anybody who's coming out of a career that they're not happy with or they can no longer scale in what they were doing. And again, when I first started with athletes who were not going to go make their living as pros, and try to help them migrate through and into career success. I'm not here telling anybody what to do or be when they grow up. That's none of my business. But I do understand the methodology. I've written about it in this book. I've counseled countless people on it. And the Fifth Quarter Project has really been very interesting to me. It's anecdotal to this video here tonight for two reasons. One is I saw this article a while ago. I saved it, and it's what can we learn from people who succeed later in life? And it's actually several years old, but it's evergreen. Um, and I'll include a link to the article in the comments, but I want to talk about it because again, it's anecdotal to the Fifth Quarter Project, where I was trying to help young people move from where they are to where they want to be and use their existing skills. But actually, this weekend I was at a wedding for a former player of mine, and I met a lot of people who were in their own kind of fifth quarters, people more my age who were retired but still wanted to work and still wanted to contribute to the world and contribute to their mind. And I joked, I said, oh gosh, this is a whole different fifth quarter. So the premise of the article that I was reading is, what can we learn from people who succeeded later in life? I'm not going to try to replicate the article. It's got some science involved in it, and I think it's very astute. It's obviously more than just having an idea. The Fifth Quarter Project is an idea. The hardest part of the Fifth Quarter Project, is really trying to make the idea into something that matters and is noteworthy and maybe even, hopefully, even world changing in some ways. Certainly world changing for some of the people that come through, but it can't just be an idea, right? And that's the premise of this article that you'll read. But as it relates to my view of it, um, I think that the overarching premise of staying vibrant, right, staying relevant in your own mind and in the world, assuming you want to have a fifth quarter and not um, simply play golf every day, or even fifth quarter and you're just starting in your career, is to me the ability to establish trust based relationships. That's everything to me. This teacher I'm wearing, I just met the young man whose company this is the other day. You can look it up. I don't want to embarrass him, but he's a great guy, a former college player. Last time I saw him, he was actually playing here in Berkeley, for, on the floor of the Haas Pavilion. Now he does some great work in life, working with Clay Thompson's foundation and also starting up Crossover Coffee. Sat, had breakfast, bought some of his coffee, bought a T-shirt. Just when you meet people, if there's some common ground and you can establish a relationship, you also establish an ability to have more dots to connect and connect more dots. I um, loathe the term networking, not because I don't think it's valuable. I think networking is really valuable. I just hate to call it networking. I call it connecting. I think they're very different, although there is another book here that I just got from one of the world's most connected people, Joe Polish, amazing guy. This book, I'll send you a copy of my treat. This book, I can't. It just came in the mail today. But Joe says 9 genius networking principles to get what you want by helping others get what they want. That's it, right? I mean, that's how you connect with people. But again, I'd rather call it connecting than networking. Sometimes the word networking can be thought of as a transactional sort of thing. If you do this, I'll do that. And that's not the way it is at all, in my opinion. I've not read this book yet. I literally just came out of the box, but I know Joe's work. He's an amazing, amazing guy. And I know that that's what he's here to talk about, right? Or here to talk about in this book. So the idea of connecting is, I think, how you move on in almost any way to any next level of what you're doing, to any fifth quarter, whether it's just coming out of sports, or some of the gentlemen, people I met this past weekend who were um, moving beyond their profession. One was a biotech professional, the other was a physician, and they're vibrant people and they want to keep going. So if that's you, and again, whether you're a young person trying to get from where you are to where you want to be as it relates to just getting a new kickoff, as it were, in your career, starting a coffee company, whatever it is, or you're closer to my age, but you want to remain relevant in your life and do some other things, I would suggest strongly to you to reach out, go through your connections, people who you would literally, genuinely want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with, or no pun intended, um, or a lunch, and reach out to them and start. What you'll learn when you do that, what you'll probably learn, I hate to talk in absolutes, there's a good chance you're going to learn that you may have something in common with that person, possibly the two ideas that you have, or you may have an idea that they may have, and maybe there's some synergy there. Maybe you get some support, maybe you get some other sort of perspective. But what you're also doing is continuing to open yourself up in the world. And the only way, again, hate to talk in absolutes, one of the highest leverage ways to keep moving and remaining relevant in the world is to keep trying to connect, have trust-based relationships with people. If you go silo, if you go inward, you may have a lot of dough and keep all that money, but I don't think it's a scalable model for your soul. And if that sounds a little hairy fairy, I'm sorry, because I still think it's true. Being alone, just siloing, and not really having any constituents or friends, or networks, not networking, but networks of people that you can call on for support, for advice, for insights, whatever. That's the game, right? And we're humans. It's always going to be the game. Humans beg for connection. I talked a lot about in the interview series we did about the best interviews are conversations, not interrogations. And when you have a conversation, you have an opportunity to connect, right, with the person on the other side of the desk. You may not get that job, but that connection can take you 9 levels higher in many different ways, as opposed to, well, this just didn't work. So screw it, I'm just onward. One of my mentors, a gentleman named Brian Kurtz, has a great line: not everything can be a revenue event, but everything can be a relationship event. I agree. They don't all work, of course, but giving yourself the mindset, right, and the belief that there are people out there and relationships out there that can really, you can trust, and you can build trust and be trustworthy. And like Joe Polish says here, help others get what they want. Don't ever be afraid to do that. You'll get wounded along the way. It's happened to me many, many times. But I still don't want to live my life that way, as far as just protecting and never, being out and reaching out and trying to connect. So anyway, that's it. Read the article. There's some interesting science in this article that I recommended. Try to find it here one more time. What we can learn from people who succeed later in life. Why not, right? Why not? So there's many, many ways to do it, but connect with yourself first, and then with people who you think would be um, enriching and whose lives you could enrich. Help them get what they want. Help them get what they want. You can make friends for life that way. Again, you might get wounded along the way. There are a lot of weird people, but you can't let that govern who you are and how you want to approach your own life. Otherwise, it gets kind of lonely, hating on everybody, right? Or thinking you're the only good person in the world. It gets tougher, but you're not. I'm not, and there are others out there. But you have to kick it off, right? And you have to trust your judgment and just keep connecting and connecting. That's the magic. If there's any magic in this world at all, that's it. That's why Joe Polish is the most connected person in the planet. They call him. I mean, Richard Branson, you name it. Um, he's living proof that you can do it and do it the right way with great people. His Genius Network events are just incredible. So I don't want to do an infomercial here for Joe. I don't mind, but it's the premise. Okay. So long rant. I'm done. I hope some of this helps. I'll put a link to the article in the chat. I guess I'll put a link to the videos that we did on interviewing in the chat. And I hope you're all staying safe and all having a great day. This is Barry Kleinman. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helps in some way. As always, feel free to write to me with any questions, comments, or concerns. Stay safe, everybody.